Are you ready to find out how you can use and create AI assistants as a virtual assistant yourself? In this video, I'm going to walk you through what are things to think about when it comes to creating AI assistants, how to create them, as well as examples of AI assistants that our own virtual assistants at 2XU are creating themselves. Now, AI or ChatGPT in reality has been here for about 2 years now. And in the last 2 years, it has changed and evolved so much. I've created so much content here on YouTube about it. I've created a whole course on it. I've done workshops and talks. And the one thing that people always think about when it comes to AI is like, hey, am I gonna get replaced? And that's the first thing I wanna make sure that I address here is AI is not here to take your jobs. It is here to essentially multiply what it is that you're currently already working on. A friend of mine said it really well, where it's not here to take jobs, it's here to take over your tasks. So it's here to make your job be a little bit easier and will evolve essentially what your actual responsibilities would look like. So as a really good example, a typical responsibility for a virtual assistant is of course email management. It's making sure that your clients' emails are cleaned. It's making sure it's replied to. It's making sure that what your client will see on their inbox when they're reviewing it basically, or are things basically that they will need to respond to that you can't respond to yourself just because there's might be a little bit nuance that you don't know, or it's a decision that they have to make. So with that as a responsibility, AI has evolved that to the point where you can create replies as your client and basically have AI kind of write a response based off of your client's past emails, so then you can kind of mimic their voice or their tone a little bit better. AI can also help when it comes to filtering those emails as well, of creating filters that make sense for your client and the business that they're in. So that is kind of what I mean by you're not getting really replaced in email management, but your role in email management is kind of the change that's happening. And hopefully that gives that a little bit of a good picture in your head of how AI is evolving. It's not replacing you in email management, but it's helping boost whatever it is that you're currently doing. It's helping evolve that task for you. So it doesn't take too much time. It doesn't take too much effort to be able to do, because AI will help take care and learn the system basically that you have when it comes to email management. So if you are considering creating AI assistants for yourself and for your client, here are a few things to keep in mind. First is you want to list down or at least have really good awareness on your tasks. You want to go through your recurring tasks. These are usually the perfect places to start when it comes to creating AI assistants. Is basically what are your daily, weekly, monthly tasks that you're already currently working on, and taking down notes on what those are, maybe putting them in categories, writing down what apps to use for each task if there are apps to use, whatever that looks like, you want to detail out. Honestly, the best thing is you create a standard operating procedure for this, but you can start with just a checklist of how you do that certain task daily, weekly, and monthly. The other kind of tasks that you want to write down are what we call routine tasks. So routine tasks are anything basically that has a trigger to it, and there's a series of tasks afterwards. So perfect example for this is onboarding a new client. So for example, within 2XU, we've kind of mostly automated this with AI now, where what took basically a 3 days basically within 2XU to be able to get done, where we create a spreadsheet for the client, we go ahead and create a custom Notion page, we go ahead and send them a couple of emails to help prepare them for the onboarding. It is now just automated with make.com. And for my assistant, the main thing that she now does to take care of that task, her role in that task has evolved, is to just really double check and make sure that it is the right information. It is also putting any custom information that I verbally gave her for this client, so then she can attach that to the AI assistant. So that's what I mean by writing down what are your routine tasks within the business, where there is a trigger and you know what are the next steps to be able to do them. Because then you want to consider the two types, or what I think are two types of AI assistants. One is more of a chat AI, which is creating kind of a custom GPT or your own kind of mini assistant within ChatGPT or Task8 or Claude, whichever tool that you're using. And the other side are more automation-based AI assistants, or what other people call AI agents. So this is you using tools like make.com, maybe even Zapier. There's a lot of other tools that looks like this. There's also Taskade that we use as well. And it's basically more of the AI that connects different tools. So as the example I gave earlier on onboarding, it basically grabs the Zoom recording from the discovery call from that client, breaks down what it was, creates the proposal, then goes ahead and customizes the email from that information. So it grabs things from Zoom, from Gmail, from Google Docs. It also creates an output in Google Sheets. So whatever that looks like for you and your client, that's basically what an AI agent is it basically has different automations of different tools, and it kind of brings them together and makes sure that it actually performs the function that you need. Now, depending on your proficiency when it comes to creating AI assistants, you might choose one or the other. There's not really a right or wrong. It really also depends on the task that you're trying to automate or make easier with AI. Next is, as you're starting to think of like automations of like, how do I create this AI assistant in the first place, I want to walk you through what the WOAH method is. Now, this is a prompt, a beginning prompt basically, or what as other people call priming prompt, or the first thing that you put into ChatGPT or AI to give it the context that it needs to be able to give you what it is that you need. So for example, on ChatGPT, we would use the WOAH method as who you are, who you work for, and what basically it is that you do, what results you're creating in the world. 2 is the outcome that you need from the AI. A is just asking it, are you ready? This part honestly just kind of makes sure that you and the AI are in the same level, that you're kind of asking like, hey, let me know if you understand what I'm trying to say. And then the H is usually the how, or if you have a specific output that you want it to give. So for example, if you want AI to give you bullet points or a table, that's where you put it. So for example, when I was creating my AI assistant, when it comes to generating content like this one, I would say, I am a content creator where I'm focused on virtual assistants, AI, and outsourcing. My target clients are, X, Y, and Z. I need you as my strategic expert content management basically. So that is the outcome, where I would need you to generate content ideas for the next year. Are you ready? I would need your answers to be on a table where I can look at it kind of like a calendar. So that's how the WOAH method basically can look like for you. So as you're thinking of like, oh, I need this kind of AI assistant, this kind of AI assistant, you want to start thinking of like, how can I have the WOAH method in here so that I'm formatting my AI assistant best? Because honestly, AI doesn't work if you don't give it the right context. AI doesn't work if you are not the one making sure that it understands your own outcome. And this is the reason why a lot of people give up on AI. It's like, oh, it's giving me so like a lot of generic responses. It's not giving me what I want. But in reality, it might just be how you prompted it. It might just be how you set up your AI assistant to either succeed or to fail. That comes down basically to the context and how well you give instructions to the AI, whichever chat that you're using. And now I'm going to give you different examples of AI assistants that our EAs basically at 2XU have used themselves. The first one is one that I kind of already described, is an email writer assistant, where they taught an AI using the WOAH method. They'll say, you will act as the responder for the email, you will respond as with this tone and voice, and it gave them at least 3 to 5 examples of how their client would respond to typical emails. And then it gave like, hey, these are the frequently asked questions on the emails. This is usually how we answer them. So you gave the AI assistant a lot of context on what emails you usually get, as well as how you would usually respond to them. So now anytime that they get a new client email, basically, they can just grab that first text and then put it into the AI assistant, and then it comes out with like a very typical response that you would give anyway. So it saves time when it comes to writing or thinking it through, or if you're trying to not sound as rude, or if you are trying to add a little funny voice in there, AI assistants can do that for you. Next is a project manager assistant, and this is one that I've used myself, where I will have this big idea that I want to get done in the business, and then I'll ask my AI project manager basically to break down that project for me, break down deadlines that I would be able to use, break down milestones that I would be able to get to where I want to go. So this one actually helps me when it comes to just brainstorming or generally just making sure that I am setting realistic deadlines whenever I am setting on a project for the business. Next is a social media engagement assistant, which is basically when you are engaging on Facebook or LinkedIn as your client on people's posts, commenting or even sharing. You can have this AI assistant be able to comment and engage essentially as your client. So the key thing here is giving a few examples of how your client writes or how your client thinks. For me, luckily, I do have a ton of content online, so it's easy to train an AI assistant to do this. But it's essentially, if you're commenting on LinkedIn, you just grab basically the post that you want to comment on, put it onto that AI assistant. It'll generate a comment as if it was the client or the person that you taught it to respond as. And it's just pretty cool and straightforward, because then you just have a comment that you can just paste into LinkedIn. However, I always recommend always treat whatever AI output that you get, or text output that you get from ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you're using as a first draft. Always try to edit and add a few flourishes to make it sound less like it was just responded to by an AI. Next is a content creation and repurpose assistant, very similar to my content generator assistant. This is basically if I want to rewrite a post that I already did on LinkedIn or Facebook, and then rewriting it, for example, break this down for Twitter or make this Instagram friendly. So it gives the platform basically the specificity it needs to be able to grab a person's attention, and just makes it easier to keep creating different types of content or breaking down maybe a really big blog post into a carousel post on Instagram, whatever that looks like. That's another AI assistant you can do. I have a video specifically on that, so you guys can go and check that out as well. And of course, you can create a documentation assistant. So what I said earlier is the best thing when it comes to capturing your recurring and routine tasks is creating a standard operating procedure for that. That means it's a walkthrough for someone else to be able to do this task. And honestly, as a virtual assistant, this is probably one of your key tasks to do, is capturing how a process is done. So you can have ChatGPT or Claude or whichever one tool that you use. There's also specific AI tools that you can use for this. That's a little bit more expensive, but you can basically get started with just ChatGPT of describing how you would usually do a process. And if you even have the paid ChatGPT, you can just talk to it on your phone, or you're describing like, hey, this is a process that I do. Can you create a standard procedure out of it? This is usually the steps that I follow. And like I said, there are specific AI tools where you just screen record on your computer, and it basically creates then the breakdown step by step based off of what you just said or what you instructed it to do. Now, there are a ton of AI assistants that you can create, especially as you're getting started, especially once you get a hang of it. Of like any time that you have a recurring or routine task, you're like, oh yeah, I can use an AI assistant for it. And that's basically the goal for me for this video, is for you to start doing that. I do have a whole course that you can find below on ChatGPT for virtual assistants that you can get started on, and I'm looking forward to you guys doing that. And of course, if you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below what are the AI assistants that you're trying to create for yourself. I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember that small steps matters. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!